Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. Gloria Gaither was standing next to her spouse. As the gospel's soulful heart, Bill music. However, now, speaking with a frail voice and with tears in her eyes, she's bidding farewell, not only to the theatre, but also perhaps to we all. What took place behind these sequences that resulted in this emotional goodbye? Additionally, why are supporters in the world is preparing for the most devastating chapter yet? Gloria Gaither has a lengthy been more than just gospel's wife iconic. Musician Bill Gaither. She has been the soul and heart of some of the most strong Christian music songs past. As a co-author of many, the lyrical voice and Gaither classics, Gloria has a lot of meaning behind their songs, changed people's lives all across the world with her profound faith and timeless wisdom. However, currently Gloria, who is 82, has shared a sincere communication with fans, one that marks a significant turning point in her path. In a new video that was made public by the Gloria Gaither music group, made an appearance. She was clearly moved as she thanked the fans for many years of prayers, love, and steadfast assistance. "There comes a time," she said, her voice faltering a little, "when you feel a mild pull own a feeling in your heart that God is calling you to a more sedate time of year." However, she did not use the words retirement directly. Gloria made a suggestion to distance herself from large-scale events and public appearances. Rather, she intends to devote more time to with relatives, concentrating on writing, contemplation, and quiet times, a striking contrast to the decades of ministry, performing, and touring. She was a legend before the world knew her. The Southern matriarch and lyricist Gloria Gaither was just Gloria in the gospel. Sick. March 4, 1942, saw the birth of Michigan into a household with roots in strong moral principles and a Christian faith. Growing up in a loving household with a strong reverence for books, education, and Gloria demonstrated an early talent for music, expressiveness, and language. She was an intelligent pupil, enthusiastic about poetry, art, and writing. Following Gloria went to Anderson High School University, a tiny Christian educational institution in Indiana, where she worked toward earning a degree in English. There, she developed not only her knowledge but also her spiritual basis, something that would subsequently put her all into each song she created. It was, while Gloria was attending Anderson, came across a youthful, vivacious Bill Gaither is a music educator. They were merely co-workers at first. Bill had already started experimenting with gospel, creating the Bill Gaither Trio in music alongside his siblings and brother, although it took little time for them to share enthusiasm for creativity and religion attracted, bringing them nearer. In 1962, the couple was married, and that collaboration would continue to alter the Christian music scene forever. Initially, Gloria went on English instruction at Alexandria High, while Bill pursued music, school full-time, but her talent for songwriting and her profound poetic understanding started to their way into the music of the trio. Bill created tunes, and Gloria, along with her. Their aptitude for language brought them to life with strong, sincere lyrics that struck a chord with millions. The moment of breakthrough arrived with the now famous song, "Because He Lives." Compose, amid a period of upheaval in their lives, while they were expecting their third child and during a period of national turmoil. By the Gloria and Bill Gaither were in the late 1960s, living what many have referred to as the ideal Christian existence. They were happily wed, bringing up a small family and dedicating themselves fully to ministry, the means of music. However, behind the surface, they had to deal with one of the most difficult periods on an emotional and spiritual level of their existence. The globe was in chaos. It was the Vietnam War. The civil rights movement was upending the country. There were explosions on college campuses. In opposition to conventional Christian, open challenges were being made to values. Additionally, the Gaithers were individually managing their own doubts. Bill was fighting fatigue from constant touring and demands from the ministry, and Gloria's pregnancy discovered herself with their third kid, seized with fear over the type of world into which they were introducing a child. Amidst this emotional upheaval, they relied on something and their faith. Something extraordinary occurred. As you pray, and Gloria, looking for solace, had a surge of tranquility and a fresh faith in God's assurances. It was in that silent, profound heavenly moment in which the phrases, "because he lives," started to take shape. That the lyrics weren't written with ease. They arose from hardship, terror, and the urgent need for optimism. And that's why they resonated so strongly with millions. The song was captured on tape in 1971 and swiftly rose to fame as a worldwide hymn. For Christians who are struggling, it was not just a hymn. It was an announcement of faith in a future holding God, regardless of how unpredictable the current situation may sense. Because he lives his success through the crowds and Gloria in specifically into a new field of impact. All of a sudden, she wasn't just the spouse of a gospel performer or a writer behind the scenes. She was acting acknowledged as a significant theological voice, a poet whose words had the power to inspire both the soul and the heart. However, even Gloria, when the spotlight brightened, stayed on the ground. She went on to compose a lot of material, not only songs, but books, meditations, and devotionals that provided insight on family, religion, and goal. She continued with Bill to almost 700 songs together, many of which were adopted by churches all over the entire world. However, what made Gloria's distinctive contribution was the how she included both in her lyrics rich theology and unadulterated humanity. She didn't write with arrogance. She penned from life's battlegrounds, from the ministry, from parenthood, from sorrow, from happiness. In the 1970s and 1980s, when the singing group Gaither, the homecoming video and popularity Glorias, presence gave birth to the series, stayed consistent and powerful. However, she hardly ever held a microphone. In hand, her voice could be heard all throughout each song, each prayer, each moment that moved a crowd. This time frame also witnessed her turning into a mentor to young Christian musicians, as well as a coveted speaker at the women's meetings. Her serene, introspective manner, along with her depth of knowledge, made her presence uncommon in a male-dominated sector. Her gift was more than just what she penned. It was in how profoundly she recognized the challenges and the human soul of daily existence and the unwavering optimism of belief. The Gaither Trio's development into the vocal group Gaither and the Glorias Homecoming series took off, remained the silent power that propelled it. Things, including speaking, writing, and serving, with unparalleled elegance and insight. And currently, as she withdraws from the public eye, admirers glance back at her as well as gospel music contributes. However, at the remarkable voyage that resulted in AA teacher from a small village will become a cornerstone of faith via music. As the 1970s and as the 1980s progressed, Gloria Gaither strengthened her reputation as a calm groundbreaking in the gospel community music. Although her husband Bill frequently placed in the forefront, Gloria's voice was the constant flow beneath their spiritual and artistic heritage. Her although influence wasn't overt, it nonetheless deep. The vocal group, Gaither, and the Gaither Homecoming series later on become commonplace in Christian households, American and international families. Their performance was only one aspect of music. It was the ministry. Gloria's compositions added literary grace and depth that was unique within the genre, an area that is frequently controlled by cliches, and Gloria's lyrics were rich in repetition. Having a theological perspective, poetry both emotional truth and visuals, she possessed a method of personalizing ideology, of transforming God's great mysteries into phrases that regular people could sing. Persons experiencing joy, grief, faith, and skepticism. Among her most, the sense of outstanding contributions of the story she presented at the gospel music. Gloria was more than just a writer. Choruses. She shared tales, whether there was the trip from the dark to the light, hope to despair, or death to resurrection. Her melodies have a literary weight that struck a profound chord. She recognized the arc of salvation, not only in the Bible, but also in human life, and she translated that comprehension into lyrics that go on to touch people's hearts today. Apart From her Gloria's musical career, she became a voice for generations of Christian women. At an era when few women held influential theological or artistic roles, and she interrupted the silence with Christian music. Obstacles. She did not appear on stage in heels or glitter. She wasn't constrained either. To the singing role of a pastor's wife backup. Gloria had a sharp mind, a mother, a philosopher, and a religious guidance combined into one. She wrote numerous spiritual guides, devotionals, diaries, and contemplative pieces, frequently investigating how faith intersects family, identity, and culture. Her women's writings were their lifelines, juggling ministry, parenting, and the silent costs of living. She was truthful about difficulties. She didn't act as though she possessed all the solutions, but she was aware of how to direct others to the person who did. Her legacy also consists of a substantial investment in the following generation. Gloria was actively engaged in the field of education and discipleship, helping to establish the Gaither and the Family Resources Center Bible for homecoming. By way of her guidance with platform, she made opportunities for gospel musicians in their youth, especially women who admired her not only as a role model as well as a songwriter. The world is becoming more and more preoccupied with celebrities and reputation. Gloria stayed unwavering, centered on the content. At one point she said, "We never aimed to be famous. Our goal was to be dependable." That dedication has made the difference in the world. The meaning behind each lyric, the life that Gloria Gaither ever wrote, lived in depth. She was never ostentatious. She hardly looked for attention. However, anyone who spent even a brief moment with her could sense her subdued gravity spirit. She didn't perform her faith. It was put to the test, lived, practiced, refined in the real world's furnace. Gloria's most significant ministry took place in the manner in which she appeared in daily life. She is described by friends as a listener, intelligent and perceptive. She didn't fill noise and quiet. She loaded it with tranquility. She was the one in meetings who posed the more profound query. In an emergency, it was she who brought peace. She was an extremely loyal wife. She and Bill negotiated more than 60 years of marriage, not only as musical partners, but as genuine soulmates. The partnership wasn't without difficulties, bringing up 3 kids on the road, overseeing a large ministry, and meeting the expectations of the public all took a toll. However, throughout it all, Gloria continued to be a stabilizing influence. As a mother, she was deliberate and caring. Her kids remember a mother who was there at all times, even when the timetable was overflowing. She composed music late at night, following the children's dozing off. She had lengthy walks and talks, and she taught her kids not only about compassion, rather than Jesus, integrity, and accountability. As she was a wise and faithful friend, she mentored writers in addition to painters, philosophers, and preachers, many of whom give her credit for influencing their comprehension of the Christian vocation. She possessed a unique talent for seeing the gifts in others and lovingly call them out. And as a devout woman, Gloria Gaither served as a link between custom and the future. She held ancient songs in high regard, yet didn't hesitate to pose challenging queries. She believed in biblical truth, yet she also room for intricacy. She didn't have faith in fearful of subtleties. It was sufficiently deep to take it with you. Her life turned into an example of what it means to lead a fulfilling life, not just both in public and in private. She demonstrated that ministry success is not determined by fame, but through loyalty. That song is only as strong as the life that supports it. And that excellence in its purest form is to serve others. Even now, as she moves, Gloria withdraws from the spotlight and departs behind more than a list of cherished hymns. Her legacy is one of knowledge, of grace and fortitude. Her tunes will still be performed in churches, at funerals, in calm medical facilities, and happy family get-togethers for many generations to follow. But maybe even more, most importantly, she will continue to set an example, to motivate both men and women to live of purpose, modesty, and steadfast faith. In what she said to us, it seems appropriate to let her write her own lyrics, reverberate in this parting moment. God sent his son. They dubbed him Jesus. Hekame to forgive, to heal, to love. Helivid passed away. Even if everyone is aware Gloria Gaither, for the beautiful lyrics she wrote and spiritual depth, her closest friends and family, be aware that her initial ministry has consistently been her relatives. In the background of each concert, in every book and song, there was always house. And there were a lot of music, lengthy discussions, laughs, and faith. She raised 3 children with Bill Gaither, Benjamin, Amy, Suzanne, and their kids. Every individual has been impacted by their ministry of parents, yet influenced by Gloria's loving heart and calm hand in different ways. Gaither, Suzanne the oldest, Jennings, has long been engaged in the Gaither enterprise and operations of the ministry. Behind the scenes, Suzanne assisted in scenes with her parents, oversaw the wealth of the Gaither family, and collaborated with her mother on a number of tracks, featuring well-known favorites for Homecoming. Suzanne is more than just a partner, has continued to implement the Gaither vision in the combining business savvy with the future generation, having a great regard for their musicale, as well as a spiritual heritage. Hayes, Amy Gaither. The middle child chose to pursue a creative career of her own. An actress, poet, and Amy, a teacher, inherited her mother's affection for literature and language. She's publicly discussed in interviews regarding the cerebral depth of her childhood, where discussions at supper were frequently religious, creative, and inquisitive in nature. Mom didn't just want for us to be virtuous Christians. She wanted us to ask questions and consider inquiries to determine the reasons behind our beliefs, we thought. Benjamin Gaither, with the youngest, coming after his dad's melodic steps. A creator, and Ben, who co-founded Live On Media, is a songwriter and has been, in close collaboration with his parents, on numerous homecoming initiatives. His songs is more up to date, however it has the same basis: family, truth, and faith. Each of the 3 kids talks about their mother with honor, not merely as a parent, but also as an example. They remember her endurance throughout the busy years of her late-night writing sessions and touring following their bedtime, as well as her custom of transforming ordinary occurrences into spiritual teachings. Family getaways were not ostentatious. However, they were holy. Their time together was safeguarded. Despite the increasing needs of ministry, Gloria never allowed her family to feel burdened, similar to Second Place. Recently, as Gloria started talking about how she wanted to slow down, the Gaithers have reacted with a mixture of emotion and thankfulness. She has always been seen by them as a powerful, constant presence, the one with possessions, together among the turmoil of daily life on the road. As she now takes a slow step back from the limelight, her kids and grandchildren are supporting her, respecting her desire for a more peaceful season. Clearly, they have stated that this is not the end of legacy. It's just changes. Through books, reissued, songs, or texts from archives, Gloria Gaither's wisdom will keep coming up with fresh ways to reach people. In an interview recently, Bill Gaither responded to his wife's choice with a gentle blend of adoration and love. Gloria has donated a great deal for more than 60 years. She has dedicated herself to the church, inside our household and within the world, with her words. In my opinion, it's moment she holds her and rests in peace. Grandchildren, garden walks, and listens rather than talking all the time. She has merited that. Their offspring, teens and young adults nowadays have additionally conveyed gratitude for her presence. A few of them have posted on how Nana was their favorite on social media. The person who always has a story to tell, a parable in her hand and a diary in her heart. They characterize her as inquisitive, grace-filled, and wise. Gloria's message of retreating, conveyed using a straightforward video and a few sincere remarks, has released a tidal surge of feelings from supporters throughout the world. Social networking sites exploded with homages, YouTube has thousands of many. People left comments on her farewell video with sincere messages. Her music helped me get through cancer. I discovered Christ via the homecoming of the Gaither recordings, and Gloria's remarks were consistently what brought tears to my eyes. My mother performed because, at every birthday, he lives. She's no lost, but Gloria's remarks continue to bring her near. Churches in the US and overseas organize special services to pay tribute to her input. Radio stations devoted tributes lasting an hour. A few admirers even produced and shared compilation videos, first-hand accounts of how her songs transformed their life. What's remarkable is how intimate the reaction has been. Gloria Gaither has no desire to become famous, yet her genuineness gave them the impression that they were familiar with her. She was the one who composed the lyrics to fit your heartbreak. The individual who reminded you of God remained in charge. That belief being genuine didn't require being ostentatious. In her hymns are still played in nursing homes, played every day. In jails, they reverberate in chapel services. In calm living spaces, framed sheet music preserves her words and shabby CDs. And today, as supporters say, goodbye to her, not to her life, public appearance, there is a group of grateful breath. She has not said, it's time to move on, but this is the end. Rest more than talk, and listen more than strive. In doing so, she goes on to set an example for others. Thus, as admirers and her family released her from the stage, they cling tightly to her presence, ingrained throughout their lives. Not a legacy written in lyrics, but not in lights in souls, but carved in stone.